A few weeks after you've seeded your tomatoes, you'll get little plantlets started up like this. These are 4.5-inch pots. They're growing obviously right into the sun towards the window. And something that we do once they start doing this is to turn them regularly. So once they've been turned, to help nurse them growing straight up, we will take a look at the stem, and you'll see this set of leaves right at the bottom. They're really quite round. And then these more ribbed leaves with cuts in the margin are the true tomato plant leaves. So what we can do is put our fingers right on either side of the stem, not right up against the stem, a little bit away, and kind of pick it up with our fingers, like moving the soil towards the stem, and push down really hard. You can bury that first set of leaves. My pronunciation might be off, but cotyledon, it's the inner seed coat that feeds your plantlet in its first stages of life before it grows roots. But this plant has roots now. It's drinking on its own, so you can just use those further as food for the plant underneath the soil. But anybody that's ever looked at a tomato plant has noticed that the stem has little hairs all over it. Those are potential roots, I say. If they come into contact with the soil, they'll become, instead of air roots, soil roots. And so then, instead of roots just growing from the bottom tip where it came out of the seed, it'll be coming off of the sides of the stem underneath the soil, creating a much sturdier, hardier plant. It'll grow a lot bigger tomatoes for you. And then when you've got a depression in your pot after you've pushed it down, push the soil down a little bit, so we just top it up with soil, just like that. And it can stay in this size pot for probably another 2 weeks, I'd say, and then we'll put it in a bigger container so its root ball can then just continue to get that much bigger. So those ones that, the 2 trays that I just did were Scotia tomatoes, so that's like a slicing tomato. They were seeded on February 10th. These ones here, you can notice right away, it's a much different tomato. It's a bushing and branching rather than the slicing tomatoes, the Scotia tomato, which would be much more of an upright plant. This one stays low, branches out, and produces vines of sweet, juicy little tomatoes. These are a red pepper, majestic red pepper. They don't drink as much as a tomato plant does. So if they're watered at the same rate as a tomato plant, it gets kind of goopy on top of the soil, and it could start turning a tint of green. So when you see that happening on your soil surface, you know that that plant is telling you to stop watering me so much. Let me dry out a little bit. So in this case, what we do because the slime or a coating could be starting to form on the surface of the soil, we cultivate it. We just break it up so air can escape, the roots can dry out a little bit, and this plant likes that, so it'll start to grow a little bit more. See how it was seeded February 10th as well, and they grow a lot slower. So don't drink up as much, don't need as much. But a little cultivate is always really good when you're going around looking at your plants. Little fix as well. You'll notice the cotyledons on these plants too. It's the same for all of them. I just wanted to add that peppers don't have the same stems as tomatoes do. They don't have those fine hairs or air roots, or that if you push into the soil will grow. They don't have that. Not a lot of plants do. Tomatoes are special that way.